City Stadium in the Central Senatorial District
by 12 noon.
And on Monday, 14th October, the train moves
to the Northern Senatorial District, Ìkàrẹ́ Àkókò at the Cenotaph by 11 a.m.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbárùkù ti ìṣèjọba gómìnà Lucky Orímisàn Ayédàtiwa lójúnà àti lè parí àwọn iṣẹ́ ribiribi tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo níbi wọn yóò ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìpolongo fún ètò ìdìbò ọ̀hún lọ́jọ́ Sátidé ọjọ́ 12 oṣù kẹwàá tá a wà yìí ní pápá ìṣeré tó wà nílùú Ondo láàrin gbùngbùn ẹkùn ìdìbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo tí wọn yóò sì tẹ̀síwájú ìpolongo ọ̀hún nílùú Ìkàrẹ́ lọ́jọ́ Ajé.
Ọjọ́ 14 oṣù kẹwàá tá a wà yìí láago 11 òwúrọ̀. Bákan náà lọ́jọ́rú ọjọ́ 16 oṣù tá a wà yìí ìyẹn Wednesday 16th of October a ó tún gbéra lọ sí Southern Senatorial District ní Government Field tó wà nílùú Ọ̀rẹ́ ní Òdìgbò ní dédé aago 12 by 12 noon.
Let's all come out to support the lucky guy as we stand on his mandate. Ó datiwa, ó dìrọ̀rùn.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Glad to know you're still with us on the end today. Yes, we promise that when we return from that break, we'll have some discussion for today, on the table. And today being the International World Food Day, one we wonder that in a place like Nigeria with vast arable land that will be celebrating, a bountiful harvest of different kinds of crops, of food items, from the nation, and that will have so much, a picture of when most of these churches are having harvest day, you see all manner of food items on display. Just imagine it on that kind of scale, as a nation, and or the food silos opened for either subsidized rates for citizens to buy, or maybe some palliatives, you can say, because it's World Food Day. But sadly, the situation isn't that way as we speak, as of today in the country. And Zaid, being World Food Day, I wonder what goes through your mind. How do you think that day, ought to be celebrated?
What's going through my mind really right now is for me to ask you, what did you eat this morning? But of course, we leave that aside. But the World Food Day has also brought again the importance of agriculture to the fore, and the importance of healthy nutrition to the fore. It has brought the importance that that we all must come together to really battle hunger, because when you look at the basic needs of man, food is somewhere, at the topmost
yes,
level.
it's that. Food is the first.
So when you put that into the scheme of things, and when you also reflect in the local parlance here, when you say, look, when there is hunger, it appears poverty is out. So the basic issues that come up at this time when you're talking about the level of poverty in our country, hunger, food also ranks somewhere very, very high in terms of what people really need. Some persons just need to eat. Forget about shelter, they'll sort it out. So, but when you look at the statistics that we're getting from the United Nations as to what are some of the things that are likely to happen if we do not take urgent measures to curb food insecurity in Nigeria, is the fact that 82 million Nigerians, is about 64% of the country's population, may go hungry by 2030. Of course, they've called on the government to tackle climate change, pest infestations, and other threats to agricultural productivity. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation in the public space with someone who's a commercial driver. And, I can't really remember what brought about that conversation, but it made mention. Okay, yes, I remember now. Just somewhere in the public space, we'll find an Igbo man who was also speaking with a fellow Hausa man, and the conversation was around, this age-long conversation of what will happen if one section of the country leaves and all of that. So it brought about the conversation as to if a section should leave, it appears other sections of the country might go hungry. So I began to make inquiry that really, is this a fact that if we do not coexist, we might also have challenges with food insecurity going forward. And the conversation led us to speaking about the tomato revolution down in the south, right, particularly in the southwest, for a very long time. A lot of persons did not know that
could be grown.
You could cultivate tomatoes in that number, in that quantity, and you have bountiful yield. So I cited that example to him, and I also told him to look, a lot of fruits that we thought were exclusive, a lot of things that we thought were exclusive to a region, a region, even regardless of if it's the north, a region of the country, can actually thrive right here. That advancement in research.
Even some foreign fruits are grown in Akure here, because with my very eyes, I've seen, in the course of some other productions, I've seen strawberry grown in Akure here. I've seen the foreign grapes grown in Akure here. So it's a matter of knowing the weather and the conditions, for cultivating such crops, and if we dare to try more, and just as we've broken the jinx on tomatoes, some people are also trying hard, because I'm aware some farmer groups are trying to also cultivate onions there too.
Yes, part of what he asked was if onions could also grow. Look, it's already
Onions,
happening
carrots,
at this time. A lot of persons,
watermelon.
some farmers are now also
Also
venturing to
doing that.
cultivating onions. And think of it, cucumber, think of whatever it is.
Yes.
There's been a level of improvement in people down south trying some of these things out. So again, part of what he also raised, interestingly, you find some very critical conversation down at the lowest level of our society come up. Part of what he raised, it appears in other regions of the country. Government interventions usually come through for them, and they utilize this intervention appropriately. Take a look at what farmers are doing right there in the north with different government intervention, fertilizers, distribution, grants, and all of that. But part of what he alluded to down here in south is the fact that, look, he has not seen where a farmer uses tie. But right here in our region, you find some of this intervention, getting to the hands of some people who have not even been to the farm
Not even touched
in
the
years.
soil before.
So these are critical conversations that we need to have as the world is commemorating World Food Day, particularly for us as Nigerians. When last did you even till the soil? Even in that little space in your backyard, have you done anything? A lot of persons are now going to sack farming. Are you also looking to get your hands dirty, regardless of how little it could be? So, all of these little efforts will also, in a vein, amount to something on the longer run.
Actually,
and the Commissioner for Agriculture was also here
some time ago, and told us of the hectares of land that the government is helping farmers to clear, so that they can cultivate crops on it. Yes, efforts are ongoing, but still, the reality in the country is that if care is not taken, for instance, we had in some of the dailies today, let me check, that's the Guardian to be precise, giving us some graphical insights into what food security looks like in the country, vis-a-vis the economy, what people earn, and all of that. So let's do a recap. For instance, it says we have low-income families unable to afford basic foods, and I believe in your area. Yesterday I was in a kiosk to buy something, and the trader says she noticed that a grown-up man, wrapped some food items in his babariga or agbada, do you call it, and wrapped it there. And she didn't want to embarrass the man by saying, "Sir, bring it out," And the man left and said, "Is it hunger? Or is it just that the person has light fingers?" But I reasoned that scarcity of paucity of fund in the country, people, low income earners may not be able to afford what to eat, and for that kind of man, maybe his household has been hungry for some days, before he took that demeaning step of stealing from a trader. Nobody has to steal, but then let there be some compassion for others. Some will say, if you have to eat, then you have to give. There's little you can spare, to someone else. And I read last week, on a page that talked about a man who came begging a trader, "Please, can I have some food?" And the person said, "I'm tired already. I've given enough, and my business is about going down under the weight of debtors and giving and all of that." And the man sat at the corner of the trader's shop, Then a good Samaritan walked in and said, "Who is that person sitting? Can I help?" And on tapping the man, he was already dead. That help came late. And please, around you, you have someone who you can spare some gari, who you can spare some will I say rice now, because rice is quite unaffordable. Or what can I say is that looks easy to come by, to spare at this time.
Okay, things that easy to come by.
Is
just
it bread?
I can't think of one at this time, but of course, it also brings to the fore that we need to do more in area of food security in Nigeria. And of course, when you look at the theme for this year's commemoration of the World Food Day, it says World Food Day theme: right to food for a better life and a better future. So, how do we get that running right here to secure the future of young ones? When you look at the rate of malnutrition in Nigeria, it's also quite saddening. And part of what has been adduced to the reason that we have the increasing food insecurities, also the level of security in the country at this time. You have farmers now having to leave their farms in some areas, some still not getting back after a period of insurgency in their areas, and it just paints a picture that the alarm is here, and it's also escalating. You take a look at what the flood did also in Borno State and in some other communities across the country. You also imagine that some of these communities also engage in some form of farming.
Rice fields were submerged in water, in those incidences that happened at Adamawa and Borno State, and that means what is expected to come out of such farms would not be gotten eventually. But then proactive measures needs to be taken, especially when it comes to security of farmers. When they're applying their trade, there's need for more security, so that farmers will have secured. They'll be confident of going to the farm to be able to do that. And when we're talking about malnutrition in Nigeria, we have on the children under 5, we have about 37.4% of them getting stunted, that is not growing to how it's expected. They're having stunted growth, and we're having wasting, that is underweight, having 18.9% of children too, that is under 5, having a weight loss, that is not gaining the needed weight, the healthy weight for them. And we have adults too, suffering overweight and obesity. We have 14.3% of adults suffering from that. And all this boils down to the kind of food we eat. Also, apart from the kind of food we eat, actually, they say if you make your food your medicine, then medicine would not become your food. So what we eat, our food security, food availability, and what have you, cannot be overemphasized as it's needed. It's when you eat, then you have the needed energy to drive the work that you want to do. And food availability in Nigeria says is 60%, because 60% of Nigerians lack access to sufficient food, and hunger is 13%. 13% of the population experiences hunger, and food inflation, that is high food prices, affect affordability and what have you. But the solution still remains going back to the farm, isn't it, Zaid?
Yes.
I said the solution still remains going back to the farm.
Definitely.
For us to have enough.
It's going back to the farm. Definitely the solution will be going back to the farm. And Shadi, are you going back to the farm?
I'm farming already. So, I'm farming already. At least so you can have the little ones. You can farm in containers. You can farm in sacks. You can farm. In fact, you can farm virtually anywhere. Now we're talking about some advanced countries talking about vertical farming. That is, farming on the wall. It's vertical instead of they talk of hydroponics farming, soilless farming. All these techniques are there. Some could be costly, but it shouldn't be costly for you to pack some soil, in a container for you to plant some seeds that will serve you, that will serve your table, and all of that. So we're hoping that issues that affect our food security in Nigeria would be addressed, aggressively, so that by 2030, this prediction would not hit us just like that. All right, right now we'll take a short break, and when we're back, yes, we'll be taking you to the political arena. Of course, it's political time in Ondo State already.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
State, are you ready for a change? Join us at the official flag off of the APC gubernatorial campaign coming up on Saturday, 12th October at the Ondo City Stadium in the Central Senatorial District
by 12 noon.
And on Monday, 14th October, the train moves
to the Northern Senatorial District, Ikare Akoko at the Cenotaph by 11 a.m.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbárùkù ti ìṣèjọba gómìnà Lucky Orímisàn Ayédàtiwa lójúnà àti lè parí àwọn iṣẹ́ ribiribi tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo níbi wọn yóò ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìpolongo fún ètò ìdìbò ọ̀hún lọ́jọ́ Sátidé ọjọ́ 12 oṣù kẹwàá tá a wà yìí ní pápá ìṣeré tó wà nílùú Ondo láàrin gbùngbùn ẹkùn ìdìbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo tí wọn yóò sì tẹ̀síwájú ìpolongo ọ̀hún nílùú Ìkàrẹ́ lọ́jọ́ Ajé
ọjọ́ 14 oṣù kẹwàá tá a wà yìí láago 11 òwúrọ̀. Bákan náà lọ́jọ́rú ọjọ́ 16 oṣù tá a wà yìí ìyẹn Wednesday 16th of October a ó tún gbéra lọ sí Southern Senatorial District ní Government Field tó wà nílùú Ọ̀rẹ́ ní Òdìgbò ní dédé aago 12 by 12 noon.
Let's all come out to support the lucky guy as we stand on his mandate. Ó dàtiwa, ó dìrọ̀rùn.
that vehicle that gets the candidate and all of the members to that destination that they want to be. So regardless of how good the driver is, which is the candidate, the party, the soundness of the vehicle will determine how far the driver can even drive.
Absolutely.
How fit is your party in Ondo State heading into this election?
Yeah, we are heading into it because we believe between now and the election day, we will mount a lot of campaigns across the state for the people of Ondo State to come to understand and see what the party is all about, as well as the candidate that we have fielded. We believe he is a well-known person in the politics of Ondo State. He held a number of public offices, and he has a network of friends across the state, and we believe he will go a long way in challenging for the seat of governorship of the state.
So what is your party, apart from the bus conveying you and all of that? Yes, but what are you actually bringing to the people of Ondo State? What are the unique things your party has to offer?
Our central philosophy is that of education and human resource development and empowerment. That is the central thesis of the party, and that is what we are bringing on the table for the people and the entire electorate of Ondo State. Of course, wherever you have development, the foundation for such development is human resources. And we believe that is where our previous leaderships have been very, very lacking in emphasizing. We have emphasized in this country so much on infrastructure, but as we can see, particularly in the last few years, that infrastructure cannot be supported if you do not have educated individuals who can support it. And a nation can be built only when you have an educated workforce. And therefore, the NNPP is squarely focused on that. When we provide the infrastructure for education and we are able to educate our people, we believe that will be a very good foundation for the development of not just Ondo State, but the country at large.
All right, your party highlighted 7 things, which you started this Ondo Divine Agenda 2024.
Yeah.
Yes, the first thing there is the free education that you have mentioned at all levels. We've seen free education promised at all levels before, especially in the Southwest. We can tell history of free education. But then the free health services for all citizens of Ondo State. How are you going to manage that? Because there were times in the state we had free maternal health, free delivery for women and all of that. And it's said to cost a lot to do just the one thing. But now you're saying free health services for all? It's going to cover all health conditions, or are you looking at a particular aspect?
The Southwest generally has a long history of free education and provision of essential human services to its people. I remember when I was in school how we were educated about the philosophy of Obafemi Awolowo, who started that scheme in the Southwest at that time. And you can see today the foundation he laid brought the Southwest to where it is as the most developed part of the country. It is not essentially a matter of mentioning other essential human services like health, agriculture, and so on, but that we believe when you concentrate on the central foundation of providing an educated workforce, you are going to ultimately provide all the rest of them. It is not simply providing health care services to the people of Ondo State, but also when you have an educated workforce, you develop the human resources of the state, there will be a number of people wealthy enough who are well-to-do enough as a result of that for them to help the other sectors of society such as health and agriculture and all.
This time, we started seeing a lot of back and forth in the country is on the local government autonomy. The Supreme Court has spoken, but we're still getting reactions from different stakeholders. The governor, the federal government is also, meeting some things, and a lot of questions around the certainty of the takeoff of this local government autonomy, what it will be, and the impact it would have on the lives of Nigerians for your party. Where do you stand in this conversation around the local government autonomy? Because there will be an election in those State, and it's this election that will also, in a way, usher in the autonomy at the local government level.
Certainly.
Where do the party stand?
Certainly. I think I am absolutely certain that our party is very excited, and we support entirely the autonomy of the local government. We believe that there are a lot of essential services that can only be provided by those who are very close to the population. And when the law was changed, of course, we have seen some resistance from particularly governors because of one single fact, and that is the joint local government and state account. You know, when you are used to one particular way of doing things, when anything is introduced as new, there is going to be certainly some kind of resistance, and that is just what we are seeing. But the NNPP stands quietly behind that move, and we will support wherever we are in terms of state administrations, wherever we win them, we will dutifully, faithfully, and efficiently implement that without doubt about it, because we believe that is just the way forward in making this country develop further.
So what you're telling the people of Ondo State at this time is if your candidate gets their votes come November 16th, your party will prioritize the efficiency of the local government, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, because as I said earlier on, that being the foundation for all other essential indices of development, local government administration is the other leg of it, because the local government is the nearest to the population, the nearest authority to the population, and therefore there is no need whatsoever that everybody will look up to the governor's office and the state government for every other thing, every social service, every infrastructural services for them to develop. But when you are handed the equipment for yourself to develop your own area at the local level, I believe if you fail to, you are failing your direct neighbor. And because you know that, there is no doubt whatsoever, you have an incentive to work harder in order to justify the resources that have been given to you.
Talking about resources, human resources is one. But today, for instance, is International World Food Day. It's International World Food Day today.
Yeah.
And food safety, food security in Nigeria is something that calls for attention. Is your party looking at that direction? Is it part of the things you have on your manifesto on how to provide food security for Nigeria? What are your plans?
Food security definitely is an essential ingredient for human existence. We decry a situation where we have a paucity of even resources to ensure that our country secures itself in terms of availability of food resources to our people. You have International Day of this, International Day of that, but I think they are all meant to ginger people to focus on a particular thing that such days are focusing on. We believe right now that the APC administration at the central level has failed the people of the country. You can see the hunger and frustration cutting across all social strata of society, and therefore there is absolutely no way that the government can secure food security for the country. We at the NNPP believe that given the opportunity, at least from state to state, waiting for 2027 to come, we will provide the kind of food security by focusing on the essential ingredients that will give to Nigerians the hope and the actuality of having food on their table, because that is the most essential thing that you can do to a human being. When he is hungry, you cannot talk to him about anything else, and therefore the basis for even human existence is food security. We will definitely focus on that.
Dr. Gigi, the part of those who also play a critical role in this election are the youth. Because when you look at Ondo State, 2 million plus eligible voters, a lot of number of voter cards also still uncollected. And when you look at the statistics, it tells you that youths who have expressed interest that, okay, I want to be part of the process, but they're not going ahead to get their PVCs to vote. But we'll come to that conversation as to what your message would be to those who are eligible voters in Ondo State. But for youths, at the core of your party structure, what is obtainable? And a lot of conversation is also around youth involvement in politics. Is it safe to say that the NNPP is a candidate, is a party that has a candidate who will also prioritize the youth involvement in politics? Is this part of what drives your party going forward?
It is part of the philosophy of our party. It is part of the objectives that drive us and motivate us. I believe the youth of this of our country constitutes up to 60% of the population. It doesn't matter where you go to, whether it is in the southwest, southeast, or north. The youth, the population explosion that we see focuses on essentially the youth. Most of our population across the board are below 35 years, and therefore no political party can disregard that. Once you understand the demography of the country, where the youth population constitutes 60% of the people of the critical suicide, we certainly will prioritize that, and you can see my first comment being focused on nothing more than education. And you cannot talk about education and then apply such education to 60 and 70-year-olds. Therefore, we mean that we have human empowerment.
What about women? What's the place of women in your party? Are you giving women chances to be in probably elective position, appointed position? What are your plans for women in NNPP?
I'm also looking at the entourage of the national challenge.
We just have a woman there. So what's happening?
The entourage is a few individuals, and there is a woman sitting behind them.
Just one
so
woman. And
just
like
one woman out of how many?
About 6 men.
I have 6 men. That is therefore we are talking about nearly 20% of the entourage. Certainly, on a serious note, we are very conscious of the gender gap in our country's policies, and administration, governance, and politics itself. And therefore, wherever you have the branch of the party, from national to state, local, and ward level, we always insisted on keeping 30% of of such positions to women. But I will refer you back to your original question about youth participation. Sometimes where you provide that, you may not even have those who incentivize themselves enough to come and pick up the positions. But it is left to such political parties anyway to encourage women across the board to participate in politics. A lot of women, particularly in the northern part of the country, feel that politics is not their business. And therefore, they would rather go into other things than into politics. We have a blueprint to address that across the country, not just within northern Nigeria, and encourage every woman who is interested in politics to be part of the political process. And I think our elective and appointed positions will reflect that. You will see that if at all you go to our gathering today, I don't know how many women you are going to count there, because there is certainly going to be a lot of them.
You said you have a blueprint on how to encourage more women participation in your party. So let's have a view of it. Let's have some insight into the blueprint.
The insight is simply that we have allocated 30% of all the elective and appointed positions in our party to women. So, the challenge is filling such positions. Because you cannot just go and grab a woman and tell her to come and occupy a position. If they are available to take the positions are taken. And therefore, I think one of our challenges is to even encourage the women and give them the incentives to come and participate and hold positions within the party as well as in administration. I don't know the statistics of how many women are participating at the level of being candidates, but there are certainly a number of them doing so. And our duty will be to encourage them going forward.
All right. I would like to have what stands your candidate. Your candidate in Ondo State. Talking about Honorable Lubenga Edema, who is your candidate, NNPP candidate in Ondo State. What stands him out for other candidates?
What stands him out is the public record that he can show us, and which he did show us, which convinced us that he is one of the best that we can get in Ondo State, and which Ondo will be very proud to have. He has a pedigree in terms of his public record, of public service. He is a humanitarian individual with the core values of not just the Yoruba, but the entire ethnicities represented in Ondo State. He has demonstrated to us the capacity to govern in terms of the record that he has, his pedigree, and therefore we believe that his choice is the right one for NNPP, and his choice will ultimately be the right one for the people of Ondo State.
National Chairman, Dr. Ajiji, let's flash back a little bit to what happened with your party in the 2023 general elections and of the party's logo. But in terms of the politics itself, what lessons have you taken from that 2023 general election that you'll be looking to test run or to perhaps implement as campaign items in Ondo State heading to November 16 governorship election?
The first lesson that we have learned is the fact that you have to have a consolidated core of individuals on the ground in order to hold the ground for you politically. In this country, people talk about manifestos and what have you. Manifestos are expressions of the normative aims and objectives that you need to implement when you come to power. But before you come to power in the elective process, you really have to deploy a lot of resources. And what our party did was to deploy such resources to the best of our ability, but maybe we are short in a lot of areas in terms of those resources. But our human capacity is unparalleled if you compare us to all the other political parties. The lessons that we have learned in that regard will definitely do us a lot of good when we come to 2027. We are preparing from now on, and you can see that even in Ondo State, we don't only have a state secretariat. Our objective is to get such secretariat across all the local governments and ward levels in the state. And once we do have that, we believe that we will take over Ondo State votes not only in the governorship but also in the presidential elections coming in 2027.
You're building structures already.
We are.
And you're hoping that you have Ondo State in the bag come November 17 or 16.
Yeah, November 16th, we will pull surprises.
Surprises, okay, but surprises on the state indigents are waiting to see. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ajiji, for coming on the show this morning, and that is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's show.
I was hoping because we have the opportunity of the national chairman of the NNPP here. We just chip in one away from Ondo State to what exactly is happening with your party in Kano. In Kano State, that's where your party has a governor. Yeah. And we're getting reports down here that it appears a lot of things are also happening with your party down there, particularly with the leaders of the party. How are you prevailing on the situation in Kano? Because a lot of reflections will also be that, look at what they are doing in Kano. Can they also replicate same here in Ondo? Can they do better in Ondo? Can we vote for them in Ondo State?
We are very proud of Kano. And we know that the achievements of the governor is unparalleled. But coming to the political aspect of it, you will understand that it is not just NNPP experiencing that. PDP is broken into at least 3 factions right now as we speak.
They say the House is united. They say they have no factions.
That
That's
is what
they
they said, but in reality, you know what is happening even within their NWC. We believe that, as our leader, Dr. Rabi Musa Konkoso, has said, the PDP is practically dead and is on the way to its grave. The APC being the governing party of the country itself has its own internal bickerings, as well as people who are dissatisfied with the way things are going and who probably are looking for the opportunity to break away from the APC, and that will be a good news for our own followership, because we built on that. What is happening in Kano is nothing new in politics. You have people who want to derail us, and they concentrate their efforts in derailing more than in assisting the government as an opposition, for assisting the government to achieve its practical objectives, because derailing is helping them as an opposition. And we will do the same thing also if we have the chance to the central administration, so that we take over, because that is what they are doing to us in Kano.
So you're admitting that you do not have crisis in your party? Internal bickering too?
Oh yeah, there are. Definitely there are. Wherever you have a political party, you will have those who dissent, those who will want things to be done differently, and those who will want to be in the structures of the party, and if they are not, they feel that that is the end of the world, and therefore it is nothing new, it is normal, it is usual, and we will overcome it in the course of time.
So today is the D-Day for your party to flag off that campaign. Tell us what, perhaps an insight into what the atmosphere will be like later today when you mount the podium and you canvass votes for your candidate in this election. What are you looking at? How much of support has he garnered from, the fact that you're here tells that he has all of the support from the national body of the party. How much of that are we going to be seeing later today?
We will see a lot, so definitely. And we invite you to come and not only come, but be on the podium with us as a journalist, so that you can report directly. We believe the people of Ondo State will now be energized and made aware of what the NNPP stands for. And today's event is a very good opportunity for us to showcase our programs, and particularly our excellent candidate, who will now be our torchbearer in the state.
All right, Dr. Ajuju Ahmed, yes, National Chairman, NNPP. Wish you a nice outing as you go out today for your campaign. And thank you for coming on the show once again. As I actually took the liberty of seeing you, all the way from the northeast, so we had to get all the answers to our questions from you. All right, on the entourage of the National Chairman of the NNPP this morning to the studio, we have the Deputy Governor candidate, Dr. Adeyemi Rotimi. We have Dr. Odeyemi Tosin, Chairman of State, Chairman Forum, and Osun State Chairman of the party, Dr. Azim Dolaman, so State Chairman, Kano, and also we have the candidate of the flag bearer of NNPP in Ondo State, Honorable Winga Edema, also in the studio this morning, and some other gentlemen, and the lady in the base of them. All right, thank you very much all for coming on the show, and thank you, our dear viewer, for having a time with us this morning and today. From Zaid?
Of course, yes. Just like you've heard, the NNPP will be engaging the electorate later today, and of course, perhaps it's one avenue to raise critical issues with them in areas you feel there are questions to ask, and how best they want to position Ondo State going forward beyond November 16. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and Friday is another edition of the program. Thank you.
Yes, Friday is going to be another edition of the